morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by BB. There is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about markets. Welcome back, guys. We hope that you enjoyed your Cinco de Mayo yesterday, but welcome to to our show here on May 6th. 1 day away from FOMC. And I guess, we usually debate on these shows, is this going to matter? How much is it going to matter? I'm sure we'll do that again on today's stream, just kind of talking about how these macro events, they usually are either completely, irrelevant, or they say something that's completely out of the box that makes you have to kind of rethink your opinions on the way you're viewing the market. But I'm Tommy. You guys also know me as Snorlax. I'm joined by Chef Jackus, Big Louie Tuesday, and of course Prometheus as well. So welcome to you guys. Oh, we got the quick camera flash from Louie. But yeah, like I said, guys, we're going to be talking today about your favorite assets, right? So if you have anything that you'd like us to take a look at, drop it in the comment section. But of course, there is a bit of an elephant in the room, which is FOMC. Is it going to be a source of anxiety, perhaps celebration? We'll find out tomorrow. And like I said, kind of like 30 to 45 seconds ago, typically with these macro events, they're either a complete nothing burger and hedges come off the board. We usually pump shortly after, or they say something completely that deviates expectations. And then we have to prepare for whatever that might bring. But before we can get too deep into that, before I can kind of discuss some things that I'm seeing across the board in Bitcoin and equities, I'm going to ask if you guys can hit the like button for us, right? Obligatory. I have to do it every single day, but you guys don't hit the like button every day. And I was watching the like button yesterday. I can tell that you were not doing the needful. I think we were like 2/3, 3/4 of the way through the show, and we were still under 100 likes. I know my panelists, maybe they're checking it, maybe they're not, but I'm watching you guys. Please don't make me put soybeans on the chart today, especially on a day where, we could be talking about your favorite asset. We could be talking about Jerome Powell, but really anything more interesting than the soybeans chart. But let's get into Bitcoin equities. Bitcoin still, same thing as yesterday, more or less, just kind of waffling around 94, 95K. We put a high in late last week towards Friday or Saturday, around like 97, 98K. Are those longs trapped? Are they just temporarily underwater before higher prices? I think that we'll probably find out this week, right? We usually see FOMC used as a fuel for volatility. No matter what is said, no matter what happens tomorrow, whether hedges come off the board, maybe it's Jerome Powell flooding our bags. One of those two events is ultimately going to move this chart probably fairly significantly in either direction, right? So we are just kind of waiting to see what Jerome Powell says. Obviously, we can dubiously speculate as far as what he will say, what will happen after. But that is the reality for the Bitcoin chart right now. Really just kind of grinding into, I would argue, probably the largest supply, from the previous range, which is about 95 to 100K, right? That consolidation that we had in February before we broke from the range. ETH, I guess, is down a lot more than Bitcoin today, 2.5%. Same with Solana. Ironically, BNB is green, but it's really not a surprise that we're seeing these moves from the coins. I mean, the NASDAQ is down about 0.5% today. At one point, it was down 1%. I guess we'll just, again, continue to see how the market's going to trade into and out of FOMC. So yes, we will be talking about it today, and we will be dubiously speculating. We can dubiously speculate about your favorite altcoins as well, but it's pretty rare that I bring up the like button this late in my introduction, but you guys need to hit the like button for us to look at some of these charts. But or at least so you guys just have free reign to ask us what you'd like to look at. But how are we doing, guys? What are we seeing in the markets? Do we have any thoughts on Big Daddy Jerome Powell? Maybe, maybe not. Does it matter? I guess we'll find out. I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that gold as well is absolutely ripping today. So perhaps that fear in the market is still, present, if not residual, or even if it's just a residual fear rather than a real one. How are we doing, guys?
Amazing. Everyone is having currently a mental breakdown over a micro move in a range. and having a huge PTSD, and I'm just enjoying being moisturized, in my own lane. So I hope people that follow us are in the same way. But yeah, I'm feeling nothing, and probably we are getting a move ahead of the FOMC, but again, not something that would change anything, just general market moves. BTC is holding the yearly open very well, which lots of people are not talking about. So yeah, kind of feeling good. Honestly, it's sunny here in Czech. I went and had my bike checked, did some stuff, and I'm ready for the season, the bull season, just as the summer season. So feeling good.
Would you say you're a bike rider?
As well, yes.
Would
Bike
you say
rider.
Would you say you're bike curious? Sorry, that's a South Park reference. I was watching that episode yesterday. I felt like I had to bring that up, but keep going.
Bike rider and beer enjoyer. It's the best.
Sometimes at the same time. I imagine.
Not at the same time. Well, not literally at the same time, but you drive to a certain place on a sun, then you have a beer, then you come home, check the prices, realize that everything's still fucked. No, just kidding. Just kidding. But it's actually looking pretty good. The markets. I like how they look. I like how they behaved since April. Everything following the plan that I've been discussing every single week. We've been discussing for a long time. So it's just really that it's kind of like when that plan is falling together just slowly, and it's not as much exciting. And that's where I think we are. It's sort of like Bitcoin had a tremendous move, but it was exciting for 2 days, and then you're gonna spend 12 days in this micro range. It's not as exciting, but it's moving as it should.
If I don't have maximum amounts of volatility every single day, I will die, Jackus.
Yeah. Just the fact that you are enjoying Forex actually told me now more, and lots of people flipped to it during the recent weeks, really tells a story. Like
I'm enjoying the volatility of all markets right now, Jackus.
Forex is definitely the least interesting market out of all. So if one is enjoying Forex more than the other markets, that says a lot.
And it was crazy after we had the back-to-back minus 5% days on the SPX. I think like 2 days after that, somebody messaged me and said, "Why are these markets so boring?" Because we went sideways for a few days.
Dopamine
Yeah.
receptors getting
Yes.
addicted.
Yeah, they're withdrawing.
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't like these environments either, right? Like, we got a big move, right? Off the lows, boom, 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 boom. We stagnated for a little bit, boom. And literally, we've just been bull chopping in here, man. And I keep saying the word bull chop because what we're doing, right? We're, price is still grinding higher. And, we're literally just grinding higher and just chopping back and forth. And Bitcoin likes to do this, especially after a big move. You get a big move up, people are waiting for that big pullback that got left behind. Either it's here or something like this down here, waiting for their entries. And sometimes Bitcoin doesn't give it, right? Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. Like if you just look back, previous examples, here's one, not as prominent, but big move up, and then you chop sideways for about a week and a half, do a whole lot of nothing, and then boom, you get your second leg. More, a little better example would be this, which was multiple weeks of bull chop. And this is something that we had to be prepared for, right? Like big move up here on Bitcoin, And I mean, look at this price action. Like, this was from October 24th to November 30th. That was more than a month of this, right? So like, look at these are daily candles too, right? So like sideways, 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 up, down, but like slowly grinding higher. You know, you get to your rising channel highs, you come back to the lows. Everyone thinks you're going to get the big breakdown. You go right back to the highs and you come back to the lows. You do this, you do this, you do this. Eventually everyone gets tired, or you know, low time frame traders get chopped to bits. They're out of money. And then you get the move out of it. But this is bull chop, right? This is what you get sometimes when people are expecting, the big move up, that perfect retest. Okay, I wasn't bullish here, but now we got the move. I'm bullish. I want to pull back to buy. A lot of the times you don't get it if the trend is strong. So we could see something like this, right? Like we could, kind of bull chop back to 100K and like nothing really happens. So we'll see, right? In the beginning of this move, alts were doing well in the beginning of this bull chop, right? In like this area where we closed like 7, 8, 9 days in this range, alts were doing well. We saw a slight sneeze by Bitcoin here, right? And alts are seeing, starting to bleed. But I mean, if we just keep doing this, I think alts will eventually start to turn around and do well again. So it's really tough to call, right? And I've been saying this in the Discord. It's really tough to give a good forecast when we're in this environment. Down here, I could give you a forecast, right? But when we're doing this, it's tough, right? You either got to wait for the big pullback, probably somewhere in this area, 88.5, 89K, 90K, or we continue to do this and then eventually separate and break to the upside. And there's really no in between, or just more of this, right? So it's really tough to give a forecast as to what's going to happen. And if you're sidelined, this is going to drive you nuts. This is going to drive you absolutely nuts.
I tend to agree as far as like what structure should look like. If this is going to be a strong bullish trend, it should just probably begin to vertically accumulate similarly to what we saw at the end of 2023. If it doesn't, right, then it's probably going to look like the way that we exited the last range, right, which was that it was super choppy. Every pullback tended to trade much deeper than people expected. It ultimately ended up grinding into obviously new highs, an all-time high price discovery, however you want to classify it. But yeah, the pullbacks that we got, every obvious area to bid, when you lost that momentum, it ended up knifing through, and you get these super deep higher lows before ultimately breaking through the range. But I think it's probably going to look like one of those two things, right? Either that vertical accumulation, no dips, no entries, Bitcoin specifically dominating, or you're going to have it probably look like the last range where you just have this like super aggressive, ultimately bullish chop higher.
I absolutely agree with Louis. Like, if you are in stables, you must be pulling your hair out. Like, like everyone's waiting for the pullback and each one gets bought up and eventually you'll get it. But hey, you know how it goes. Will I ever get a pullback? Yes, son, but you will FOMO first and then sell where you should have bought. We know how it goes. There's been insane amounts of shorters, all of these wannabe bears. I've seen like thousands of setups on my timeline in the past months or so. We haven't swept a single H4 low, and we will. But just the fact that appreciating what the market makers are doing on the chart, crazy.
Yeah. And that's why I always recommend, like, you got to get positioned when, people are uncertain, right? Because now people are like uncertain again, but much higher. But I mean, at least altcoins have been giving some pullbacks over the last day or two, right? Like, altcoins are providing those pullbacks off those runs, right? And I was saying it yesterday, a lot of altcoins have to, have some proving to do, right? They had some nice runs off the lows, getting those pullbacks. Like this is where, we got to see some higher lows out of altcoins. It's very simple, but are people going to take the pullback, right? Are people going to actually buy, and that really, we'll see. But this is just literally just a rising megaphone right now. Like we could literally continue to do this. I've seen crazier things. I've seen crazier things out of Bitcoin. So it's going to drive you nuts if you're trading on a low time frame. Good luck.
Yeah, we probably had some de-risking, going into FOMC, totally normal. We also discussed that yesterday, that price is likely not to do much ahead of it. So just what it is. Just what it is.
Let's look at ETH.
ETH.
You have a rising channel here too. Oh, okay. So it really depends on how you draw it, but like these can like just widen it out here and just get wider and wider without really doing anything. It's like
literally the same price as 13 days ago.
Yeah, it's bull chop. Like, what am I gonna do with this? Like, what it can go up or it can go down. When you're in a structure like this, I have way more certainty as to what's gonna happen. It gives you a better read. But when you're doing this, it's a 50-50 shot with a caveat that we can keep doing the same. Right? It's either gonna break to the upside, it could break to the downside, or it can keep doing the exact same thing for longer than you would like. And that's just kind of the situation we're in right now. And maybe that it's where, the market's waiting for FOMC, which I hate, it's like why, people, de-risk into these things and people wait for that, whatever signal they're looking for out of the Fed. And so maybe that because that is tomorrow, we're going to continue to do this and maybe we get some resolution tomorrow. So at least we have the FOMC to hopefully provide some sort of resolution as to what we're going to be seeing here. Or more of the same, more of the same.
Indeed. What do you guys think of Sol ETH?
I've been saying for a while, I think it's topped. Generationally speaking.
I think it would be good for the whole market. You can just type Sol ETH.
I did, and it didn't come up.
Just Sol ETH. Don't use any slashes, just Sol ETH. It's tradable on Binance. Americans, man.
They banned us from Binance. They banished us. Yeah, this is crazy.
Generationally topped, brother. Generationally topped. The Binance pair has a wick that goes a little bit higher.
True.
I need it for posterity's sake if I'm going to be calling the top.
Yeah, look at the RSI.
Yeah, and if you also look at the Sol BTC chart, I mean, in confluence with the Sol ETH chart, I think Solana probably loses a lot of mind share. I think it's kind of going to bleed mind share in perpetuity for forever now. I think I just don't see it really getting back to the place, that it once was earlier in the cycle where it was king. You had all the dopamine junkies passing around the needle, and yeah,
everybody got hepatitis.
Everybody got minus 99%.
Everyone got broke.
We were discussing the Sol BTC chart to be in a distribution top and looking like ETH BTC for a while, and it's kind of playing out. The thing is that unlike ETH BTC, the Sol BTC chart doesn't I think it's going to go down a bit more, but it has a pretty decent accumulation range, the bottoming range nearby already. So further downside, but not actually that much, which can still be like minus 35, 40%. But what is that in crypto terms, right?
I think
Yeah,
we're
Lu-
a ways away from Sol BTC hitting price discovery. Or like aggressive price discovery. And I tend to agree with you, Jackus, as far as the floor. I don't think that Sol will necessarily go to zero against Bitcoin, but I do think, when we talk about like what does upside look like for Sol against Bitcoin, I think you're a long way away from. I mean, maybe it just trades in a big range, Sol BTC, for the next few years, but like talking about aggressive price discovery on this pair, I think we're a long way away from that.
I mean, look at the ETH BTC chart. Put the ETH BTC chart in another pane below it. It's uncanny how similar these two are. They're almost identical.
It kind of reminds me of Link USD price action from like 2019 and 2020. Sol BTC, that is.
Yeah, it's got to come home.
Yep, it will eventually. I just think honestly, what it's going to take for a lot of the liquidity to leave Sol, unfortunately, is a nasty bear market. And I was talking with Dorito about this last night, but I really think that Hyperliquid is going to be the next major to steal a lot of the mind share, and already is, really. I mean, what everybody likes the most is price appreciating, right? And that's what that's what hype is doing.
Number go up, technology.
Mm-hmm.
I feel, Sol has always been, and it suited this cycle very well. It's been a gamble chain. So I tend to think if we are going to see, for example, favorite conditions for low caps, I think that gambling will come back. And I still think there is a upside, not right now again, but I think there is in the future. And I think Sol will always be just gambling chain, basically. Very centralized, people doesn't care about decentralization there. They just care about low fees, fast transaction, and gambling. So it suits a certain market share.
Yeah.
And I mean,
but institutions will
say,
always be building on ETH,
exactly. Then that's the thing too. Like, you got to think from a liquidity perspective. The market participants that are going on to Sol are, God forbid I say it, but they aren't the deep pockets, and with the majority of retail getting absolutely rinsed in the trenches on Sol, like, how much liquidity can the chain keep attracting, or can it keep on chain without it, concentrating into a very few amount of hands? And then once that happens, you have a lot less people to actually bid newer names.
I feel like Sol BTC is kind of like your meme coin super cycle oscillator at this point going forward, right? Because that is why people go on to Sol. You hit the nail on the head. It's to speculate, it's to gamble. I imagine that will be, as we move towards more and more efficient capital allocation on Solana, which is kind of an ironic thing to say. But like basically the only things that you would bid in that scenario are going to be meme coins. So I do think that Sol BTC is ultimately a meme coin super cycle oscillator. It probably will make new all-time highs someday, but I think the Sol BTC pair's probably got another like 50% lower before I would start to prospect the bottom on it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm in the same camp, Tommy. I think the gambling doesn't come as quick, and there's more downside for Sol BTC. I think the gambling comes really once Russell makes new all-time high, the index, and ETH breaks for K2. I think we will see new wave of gamblers.
Well, I mean, it's like Tommy said, it's a wealth effect, man. Like even like when I, my altcoins and my crypto bags start going up, I'm way more way more willing to go on Sol or Base and just start like just diving into the trenches and finding those low caps, because like I got money to play with now. It's like being at a casino, you're sitting at the table, you're up, you start winning at the table, you came with $100. Now you're sitting there at $300, $400. You're going to start going way riskier than you were coming in with just that $100. So, I think it's going to stay, right? If the more crypto goes up, the more people are going to be willing to gamble. But eventually, like people get burned enough where it's like, okay, like this is like not worth it anymore. So, we'll see where that takes us. But I think it's gonna stay for sure, as long as crypto continues to do well.
Louis, can you pull up Link USD price action from 2019 and 2020?
Yeah.
We're gonna take a stroll down memory lane here.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of where I think Sol BTC is, cyclically speaking. If you look at that range in 2019, right? You had that like echo bubble where Link went to basically like $3 towards the end of 2019.
Yeah, I see that.
I think Sol BTC is playing out that range more than likely.
Maybe go on like a daily time frame. Yeah.
What do you want?
Go on a daily time frame, but yeah, you had that with the squiggly.
And I would have shared my screen here actually, but I tried to do that before we went live with Prometheus, and it was a complete disaster. So I could not do it this time.
Yeah, it does look similar.
Yeah. Then you get the ba-da-ba-ba once you get the all-time high.
Yeah, you get the McDonald's, I guess, first. Maybe not so aggressive with the Bitcoin pair, but from a timeline standpoint, I kind of think that's probably how it'll go. Because I feel like the next cycle for Solana, it'll be like, well, it's going to catch a ton of mind share, which means it's going to catch a ton of bid, because people are going to want to replicate the ROI that it did last cycle. And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Probably not, though. As we're seeing, being kind of like the second most bid cryptocurrency is usually not a good thing for your at least like short-term prospects. Look at something like ETH. And I think it's not necessarily a comparable situation, but no, I imagine like if Sol BTC were to get back to the highs, everybody would be buying into that. I mean, I can't imagine you would have another like aggressive move back to range lows like that Link USD pair did, but who knows? Who knows? I just think from a timing standpoint, it makes sense to me that Sol BTC is probably like somewhere in 2019 for this chart, probably coming out of effectively an echo bubble against Bitcoin. But the thematic that the meme coin, the gambling super cycle, whatever you want to call it, like that's not going anywhere.
Yeah. It's just part of culture now. I mean, especially in the United States, like since gambling's become legal in more and more states, like it's just everybody gambles. It's insane. It's like everybody gambles. And honestly, if I wasn't in crypto and investing full time, I probably would be too. But I literally gamble every day of my life for work, so I don't like to gamble on sports as much.
It's like that, you know, that meme of the Twilight character or whatever, where he's like looking down on the rest of the people, like super superior. It's just like that's how I feel when people are like, "Oh, do you gamble on sports?" And I was like, "No, I gamble for a living every day." You know, you just
gamble
sound
on
like
magical internet money
when you say it, but
the sports edge is real, though. If you can find an edge in sports betting, it is real. I know some guys.
It's harder to find an edge betting on sports, I think, than betting on markets.
Yeah,
I think it just depends.
I mean,
we say that, but
priced.
I mean, we say that though, but we are like deep in the trenches all day, every day. And, 98, 95 to 98% of the people in the markets get absolutely rinsed, and
But mostly they
uh,
don't get rinsed because of the price, but because they can handle their emotions.
the emotions, right? Whereas, like, I think if you're in the sports betting realm and you're like deep in the trenches and in that perspective, I think there's a lot of edge to be had in sports betting as well. It's hard though. It's definitely difficult too because you don't know if somebody's like hungover from the night before or something, you know.
When I bet on sports less frequently, lesson in that, I tend to win. I generally have pretty good sports takes, I think, but if I'm like, the more I'm betting, the more my edge just kind of deteriorates, which is kind of the same with trading.
I bet with pure emotion. Like, I'm going to the Jets game, I'm betting my Jets, and I'm coming away a loser.
If I'm betting on
betting
my
anyway.
team to win, I'm definitely going to lose. Like 9 times out of 10, I'm going to lose if I'm betting on my own team. Maybe like one exception a given year.
Hey man, it's been easy as a Chiefs fan.
I always bet against my own team.
Are you hedging?
Yeah,
I'm hedging. It's a win-win.
So if they lose, at least you win money. If I would have did that last year, oh man, I would have made a killing. Ugh. This link chart though, kind of gives me some hope here. And this is a chart I've showed the Discord in the past, and I think even on stream here a while ago. But like, a lot of altcoins over the last year and a half, 2 years have kind of done this, like gone on runs, right? These aren't small moves. Like, these are like 200% moves, retraced, gone back up, retraced again. And I think, a lot of altcoins could be around here, and then like zooming out on a chart like this, this in the moment when this is the only chart, these look like big moves, right? And like after a drop like this, looks like it's absolutely over for Link, right? Like, who would have hope after coming up here twice, crashing 200% in just a couple days? But when you zoom out and then you see the real run, it was clearly, this was your accumulation range before the real bull market, right? So I think there's many such cases, and this is being hopeful, right? But there's many such cases where we could be in here, right, for altcoins that could go on to do something like this, as long as the overall market cooperates. But when you're in these small accumulation zones, when the chart goes parabolic, they're in hindsight, this is like, oh yeah, like, of course this is just accumulation range before a massive run. But like, when you're in it, and this is the only thing you have on the chart, these are big moves, and this looks like, you're not so certain, right? So there are charts that look like this that could go on to still go on massive runs. And the Link chart is something I always pull up as an example of that. But like, yeah, I mean, like, look, like when this was trading, like, and you were in Link early, like 2019, like, this is, a year and a half worth of range highs, range lows. And then you ultimately got saved after a massive plunge, and you kind of just went up only from there. So just something to keep in the back of your mind, like, and that's what, like, Jackus always says, don't miss the forest for the trees, right? Like, this feels like, like big moves, like the market's going to crash, it's over. But, this is just the tree, right? This is the forest, this is a real crypto bull run, right? Like, these are the moves you get, from a $1 to $4 range all the way up to, $40-$50. So just keep that in mind,
All right,
I see we're
guys.
getting a crow chart request.
Yes, but first,
Every morning, coffee in hand, I open up the BB terminal. We built this platform to be your trusted companion, whether you're actively trading, investing for the long haul, or even dabbling in the degen space. Let's start with the BB portfolio. It integrates with over 60 blockchain networks and supports both wallet connections and manual entries, making it flexible enough for any trader. On the active page, you'll find advanced charting tools, complete with more than 21 custom scripts to give you deeper insights. Beneath that, our intuitive heat map helps you spot key support and resistance levels easily. But we know active trading isn't everyone's style, so we created the DCA page, equipped with over 35 thoughtful indicators. It's designed to assist you in making informed, strategic, and long-term investment decisions. We're genuinely proud of what we've created here at BB, and we continually strive to improve it every day.
Oh,
here we go,
caught me
guys.
off guard there, Jack. It's like the new
Yeah.
it's like the new soybeans chart.
Yes. Gotcha.
By the way, we see the like button, guys. You better get that up, or we will show soybeans. I'm keeping an eye on it.
Looks like I've charted this recently.
I like that, man. The link chart you just showed, Louis. This
Yeah.
recent drop reminds me of that so much. Like, you have that range, you get a drop back to the origin of the pump. You're
Yep.
maybe you can
It's
put
over.
it down below. Can you put this range
Yeah.
down below? And obviously, this will not play for every single chart out there.
Right.
But in a no, you have it. Just
Yeah.
just back to 2020. Crazy, 5 years.
Yeah.
Jake is just Tommy to the ads for real. Boom.
Yeah, like literally almost identical here.
Right. Obviously, the drop in COVID happened quicker, but I think
Yeah.
this recent rug pull that we had, if you're gonna compare it to the 2024 sell-off, this one was way quicker. So maybe put 3D up top as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if you're gonna look at the COVID dropped sub below the low prior to the move. The same thing here.
Oh my goodness.
What just happened?
What happened?
He nuked it.
Yeah, but it says I'm on. Ah, there it is. Okay.
Interesting.
Let's do this. I'm just going to draw them as ranges here.
You're still
Just to keep
2-day
it.
up top, by the way, before you start drawing.
Okay. Yeah. Literally almost like the same thing here.
Indeed.
So,
You also had 3 lows, by the way, back then on Link.
yeah.
Interesting.
And this is what accumulation looks like, like it makes, he has these big runs, gets everyone excited. They sell, and then the big money's buying at the lows and selling at the highs while they're accumulating massive positions. And this is where most people mess up. It's in here, and this is not a short period of time. This is June 2019. Didn't leave until a year later, leaving the range. So this is like a whole year worth of accumulation,
It's the same time frame.
Yeah. March to May.
This one's longer.
Yeah, a little longer. But yeah, anything is possible if you believe.
Believe in something, man.
Do I have to believe in Crow?
No.
Yeah, no,
Maybe
not
Croatia,
necessarily.
but
I mean, Crow as an exchange, like it's still here, right? They're still hanging around. Like I don't know, like
Dude, I
what
see
is
ads for them all the time.
what is he doing? Nothing.
they're hanging around.
Just hanging around.
Honestly, I want to get my debit card. I used to have the Crow debit card. I want to get that hooked back. That was great for like the 2021 bull run. I was just spending on that. I would just send crypto over there and just start swiping.
And then they correct, like TradFi correct on these cards immediately because it was such a massive loophole. People started to use that a lot.
You got the Robinhood cards now.
Yep.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in theory, charts like this that like are actually, going to last the test of time, these are your accumulation zones, right? Like anywhere in these accumulation zones, in these bottoming ranges is where it's worth taking a shot at buying, right? And to be honest, whether you're buying here or you're buying here in the range, you're not going to care, when it's trading up here, if and when it does, so you don't have to get surgical with it, right? If you're just looking at, okay, I think, a year from now, where do you think crypto is going to be? Higher or lower? If you think it's going to be higher, you see a chart like this, anywhere in these bottoming zones are where it's worth taking a shot. You don't want to start buying this when it's doing this, when it starts doing this, because look how fast this happens. Try catching this, right? And try getting a good entry once it leaves this range, right? This was what? A 500% pump in like a couple days. No, this is more like a couple weeks.
4 weeks.
Yeah, you kind of have to just take your shots, accumulate DCA. You want to DCA some with the lows, some in the middle, some with the high, whatever you want to do. And then if you think crypto is going to go up, be higher from a year from now, you buy it and you forget it, right? Obviously, you start doing this. Okay, I was wrong. You get out, but your risk reward is here, right? Your risk reward is here on a lot of these altcoins. Your risk is here. Cut it if you're losing the lows, but your reward is, almost. I guess you could say it's capped to the old all-time high, but I think there's a chance that some altcoins surpass their old all-time highs, just depending on the overall market. So that's how I look at it. Right? That's how I look at it.
It's a funky looking chart, man.
Yeah, and I mean they clearly are giving, scam pumps, and from a timing perspective based off of the chart, it looks like it's about that time for them to whip up something. And it's important to realize on super manipulated charts like Crow specifically, if you get that scam exit pump, like don't be a bag holder. Take your profits. Realize your profits. Because I mean, as that chart showed on Crow, I mean, it looks like you got, 4 over the past 4 to 5 years. So you get one about once every year. So once you get that, that's your signal, get out, because those are marked to the local top every single time.
What do we think about Link itself?
Yeah, make me look at Link.
Vertical accumulation.
I'm like really liking it, but I'm still not sure I want to bet on it.
Yeah, just from like a capital allocation perspective, I think there's better risk to return in the market personally.
Exactly.
But the chart looks good. It's setting higher highs and higher lows from the bottoming structure, and I think that you could definitely play it up to that blue box that Louis has marked out there. Maybe up to 40, up to 40 even potentially, but it looks all right.
I think I'd rather bet on Link if it were forming kind of like a higher low after higher low, not just within the context of like since the macro or what we assume is the macro bottom, but I'm talking about cyclically speaking, Bitcoin made a very similar looking range at 25 to 30K. And when it came out of that range and broke free of it, we had, I think, pretty defined micro time frame higher lows, right? I mean, I think it was from like October into mid-November, maybe 2023. We saw Bitcoin higher low, higher low, higher low, but it kind of just slow grinded up to the range highs again. I think I'd be willing to bet on Link again if it did something like that. At current prices, probably not. Right? I mean, from a risk-adjusted standpoint, you could probably find better looking beta than Link, but it also tends to lead the market. So if it does give you kind of just like that slow grind back into range highs, I feel like that would be contextually very bullish for something like Link, which is, like I said, it tends to lead a lot of these altcoin markets. So it would only make sense that from this structure, if you are a bull, you should be looking to see it grind towards range highs. So maybe you're not getting like optimal pricing on an entry, but you have a higher probability trade.
Like, what if, like, I switched it to log, and I'm not usually, I don't use log a lot, but like, what if this is just your massive base before like the real run, you know? Like, just imagine.
What's
basically that's what's going to happen, but
size, right?
$8,000 Link.
Geez, Link FDV is still 13 bill.
Wow.
Good lord.
What's the market cap?
8.9 or 8.8. That's nuts.
Yeah, that's nuts. I mean, I like the RW.
This is one that TradFi will bid though. If and when we get the ETFs, you know, and that's kind of like my thesis on it is TradFi is going to bid this. Link has their hand in almost everything. They'll likely bid this. So it's worth DCAing back in this blue zone. You know,
I absolutely do not get, like, why would you get, you know, SUI ETF when SUI has been around for like a year or something, but a Link ETF would make sense to me.
Yeah.
Well, it would make more sense to me. I would put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a bid on crypto infrastructure at the end of the day, is a bid on Link. So there are worse things to bid, certainly.
Yeah. I do not think that you need all these ETFs to a single, you know, coins. I think what you need is more like a, you know, RWA ETF, and then, you know, top 10 ETF and top 500, you know, S&P 500 crypto version ETF maybe, but not like, you know, you do not need Link ETF actually, or stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think simplifying it for investors helps them because, I mean, let's be honest, most people still don't understand a lot of what these coins do, and having more and more ETFs that they have to try and understand, I feel like it kind of just like raises the barrier of entry for the space, because if you have 20 crypto ETFs and you don't know what 18 of them even do, like a new investor is probably going to be really intimidated by that. And additionally, I think when you kind of like structured them, the ETFs like a basket, you get flows that trickle into assets that otherwise might not have. For example, like if you were to put Bitcoin and ETH into an ETF together, that's going to help ETH because Bitcoin is getting such a large outsized, you know, share of ETF flows right now. So, you know, as a byproduct, that would benefit ETH. I think the same thing would be true of like a real world asset basket ETF. It's just, I'd be very curious, like, one, who's putting that together, and then secondly, like what assets are actually going to be put in there, because I would fear a little bit that, you know, some of the assets that would be like put into these baskets are probably by funds or firms with a huge vested interest in, you know, some of these heavily diluted coins.
Absolutely. Yeah, that would be a tough situation. And of course it can be done good way and bad way as anything. So would depend. I think you nailed it on the head there, Tommy, when you said that ETF of BTC and ETH would benefit ETH. That's for sure. I do not think this one would make sense. Having a sol for Bitcoin makes sense, but I would also introduce top 10, and then like top at least 100 ETF, because there are most crypto investors, as you said, they do not want to spend the time and be like, hey, what do I buy, right? Like wait, what is ETF on Link? What is Link, man? What does it link? I don't get it.
Maybe you got it.
So you rather want to have people who just want to be like, all right, here is my equity, I want to put 50% into SPX, then I do not know, like 15% in gold, 15% in bonds, and maybe the rest I'll put in crypto, right? So what do I have to offer? Bitcoin? All right, top 10, top 100. All right, I want to bet on the whole crypto space. Let's put the rest 20% in top 100 crypto ETF, right?
Yeah, they want basket. They just want exposure to the asset class.
Exactly, exposure.
Not going to be like link to the moon,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a crypto thing,
And then,
I mean, sure, the more savvy investors will be doing that, right? There'll be people that pick the tickers, right? But a majority of the passive money, it's just to be like, yeah, just give me exposure, give me an ETF, right? Like,
but that's the most investors, even in stocks,
Yeah.
like most of them just buy SPX and that's it. And then they panic when it drops 20% during tariffs, and then they buy the top again. Oh no, someone got
we
drugged.
lost him. Yeah, we lost Tommy.
He's rugging so much. Like, I don't get it, you guys, with your internet.
Dude, I never have problems. Need to get Ethernet. That's the key.
Wait, is it
using what?
Wait, is it Ethernet? Then I get it. Wait, he's rugging.
Oh my gosh. No, I've been telling him he needs to get an Ethernet cord and he needs to upgrade his internet.
Like this. Of course it drugs.
What are your guys' thoughts on Sui?
strong coin.
Looks good. Let's make an ETF.
32 bill FDV is wild.
Raw Paul's but a cash out big.
Well, I think it had the impulsive move it should have had. I think you are likely not getting the clean retest, and if you are, it's gonna, I kind of think you are getting like maybe $3, but not that 2.8. And if you are, then you are likely getting like $2 as well. So, and you definitely do not want to see lower. That would be bad.
Yeah.
So I really would view it as a strength, and you probably want to be bidding a bit ahead and front run the crowd. And $3 sounds like a logical level to me.
Yeah,
I like
anywhere
it.
this inefficiency is a good spot, I think, to bid. If you want to catch a ride, and then you start losing this level, you got to cut.
He's back.
He's back.
Tommy, you weren't around, but I was saying the only reason why your internet is rugging so much, and I still don't get it, the fact that you live in a first world country, but the reason is because you're using an Ethernet.
But
That's a dad joke.
yeah, he gets to make those now, though.
Anyways,
Man, we're having a
Just-
really slow day today with the FOMC coming up tomorrow. I mean,
Yeah, I hate
Typ-
these
typical.
weeks, man. It's just like not even worth looking until Wednesday afternoon, literally.
I mean, Bitcoin's literally flat on the day. I mean, you have some. If Bitcoin loses though 93K, a lot of alts are gonna
Dude, alts are
get
gonna
bludgeoned.
shit the bed.
Yeah.
Have you
I mean,
guys
no
seen the
signs of
movie?
that though yet.
Have you guys seen the movie Click with Adam Sandler?
Of course.
Yeah.
We need to skip, until FOMC. Then it comes, and we need to skip until FOMC.
You said
Boom, half our life
93K.
is gone all of a sudden.
Yeah, those lows right there, the double bottom that we put in around 93. It's like 20. It's like 92 and 92.9 almost. I'm pretty sure. I think
So
if we lose those lows.
Everyone was panicking that Bitcoin was down today. It's higher than it was yesterday. Right now,
It's actually catching a little bit here at my,
Yeah, it is.
my very, very expertise drawn megaphone pattern here. I mean, look at this line make bounce. I can tell the future,
The fortune
You put
teller.
one line at 0 and one line at 1,000,000 and said price is going to be somewhere in between here.
That's what I'm saying. Like this price action, like I bet everyone was getting ready for this to roll over this morning, and here it goes again. It's so classic. Classic Bitcoin, man.
The sideliner's mind cannot comprehend.
The imagine the smell.
Imagine the smell, guys. I've seen
like that one?
posted on Twitter, Louis, and I laughed so much. I know there was some guy who was like, "Imagine the smell if Bitcoin goes down," and he
draws
posted
unrealistic lines. Spends all day imagining different smells.
And probably the only smell he was supposed to smell was the farts, and he didn't smell that one.
Yeah. He missed this good smell. Yeah, stuck in limbo right now.
Yeah. Let's pull up XMR. Dude, it's funny. The most untalked about coin in the market, and then it gets this pump, and now everybody's talking about it.
That's how it goes.
People are fading because it was a scam pump. They don't want to buy. They don't trust, which is good for my bags.
I don't know what line this is that I drew. I gotta go out to the weekly and see.
I think the only thing that's always like spooked me about XMR is the fact that you have no idea like what the real supply is.
You don't, but again, something we discussed, Tommy, is that it's been in existence for longer than a decade now. That's long enough for an asset class to stick. And through the past 7 years, it has really stick, and it's crawling it up. So the market, every insider, the collective knowledge of the market has absorbed that. So you do not need to know. The market's telling you.
It's true. Market is the arbiter of truth. I feel like if XMR would have rugged at this point, it probably would have happened already.
Exactly.
Yeah, this looks like it wants to just keep going, man. Like the weekly chart looks really bullish.
I could see a backfill into like 240-ish. Backfill some of that liquidity.
I mean, yeah, anything's possible.
This is your signal. No retest. Too bad. All-time high. Here. Fuck you.
This was your signal right here. This weekly doji, like they tried to push it below this level and got bought back up and held this. And that's when Jackus was talking about the Discord. And I was like, yeah, that looks squeezy, And then boom.
But didn't buy.
Move. I didn't buy either, but it looks good.
No, I bought, but you didn't buy on me saying that. He was like, yeah, that looks good, but no, I'll pass it. You've all been there.
Such cases.
Well, it's like that. It's like that meme where a coin goes. I'm not saying that this is what you're talking about. I'm just kind of thinking to myself and laughing about it. Like a coin goes from 200 to 400K market cap, and it's like, did you fade my call, bitch?
I told you not to fade me.
Oh, this was actually, I mean, this ripped hard, and it's obviously a much more liquid asset than a Trenches coin. But I've been debating buying some XMR just as like a long-term stowaway bag. I think when we're talking about like, I've always said that crypto's biggest utility is that it is effectively money outside of the system. And there's nothing I think that's more true to that ethos than XMR.
Indeed, especially now with all these crackdowns, especially by overregulated regions. I really like the Monero Bitcoin chart as well. I think it has a decent chance for a decent run up too. And again, all of the bad news, like all of the delistings and the fight on privacy coins, all of that has played out, and Monero stood up. You know, other coins like Zcash, not so much, but Monero has held up really well.
I think my thing with,
you wanna use you wanna use the crypto charts, XMR USD on crypto, and then slash BTC USD on crypto, because it doesn't have the tradable pairs anymore due to exchanges delisting it.
Oh, so I got to do the slash, huh?
This time you have to do the slash.
Yeah, try to do it your way this time, Jack.
Tricked again. Market makers got you.
I do think the lack of places where you can buy XMR will probably prevent parabolic moves higher for a while, but I think it just kind of grinds up for years, to be honest, because capital will inevitably find the best privacy coin, probably the best. I mean, like, the proof is in the pudding. Probably the best or one of the best storages of value. People will bid it. I mean, pretty much exclusively for the fundamentals, which I think will just kind of put like this persistent bid on it to go higher over time. But I don't know if, like, I think you need to see it probably listed on more exchanges to get some of the pumps that we are, used to seeing from the coins, where they just melt face to new highs and then just rip day after day after day. But I do, when XMR eventually hits a new high, I'm sure that will probably, you'll see it again. But I think the price action will be more out of a bit of necessity than it will like a speculative bid that we usually see from the coins.
Yeah.
Do you know what see people... like Coinbase does this?
No. Do you think what people will do? They'll look at this chart and be like, why would I buy Monero? It goes down against Bitcoin. It's the same thing they told me about XRP.
Yeah. I never understood that. Like, yeah, well, eventually it's gonna go back.
I never said to hold it all the way down for these years, man. Like, there are times when to be bullish and there are times when to be bearish, man.
Yeah. It's all right. It's more money for us.
I'm an XMR enthusiast.
I'll make you buy my bags.
Study working for your bags.
You need to.
What do you think about the S&P here?
We have hit obvious level of supply. VIX is in demand. I think it makes sense that we see some sort of reaction. Maybe not like today, but probably within the next like 1 to 2 weeks. I don't know where it will go. At the very least, I think the VIX is going to give some sort of complacency. The S&P will probably form some sort of higher low. If you have some real turmoil in those markets, obviously I'm not ruling out a lower low personally, but I think the easy move to the upside is over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
think
got
the
we
markets
got to
are.
see a higher low.
Yeah, I think the markets, we see a continuation of the initial trend before the foam board.
Well, guys, gotta be honest. Gotta be honest.
Welcome to the
no
all-new
reverse.
BB Terminal portfolio. Faster, smarter, and now free for everyone. Signing up is easy. Just use your Google account to get started in seconds. Once you're in, you'll get a clean, aggregated view of all your wallets. Or dive into individual wallets for more control. We support Wallet Connect for seamless syncing. And don't worry, we use industry-standard encryption to keep your data safe and secure. Prefer not to connect your wallet? No problem, just use our manual entry mode. Choose as many tokens as you like. Then plug in your transactions. It's quick and intuitive. Watch your portfolio stats and charts update in real time. Your portfolio refreshes automatically every hour, but you can also sync instantly with just one click. BB Terminal Portfolio, available to everyone for free.
Did you hear that, guys? Portfolio tracking is completely free. Completely free. No sign-up costs. You guys can try out Terminal a little bit. We know you will love it. Then you can upgrade to the paid feature. I promise it is worth it. We've been working very hard.
I mean, as a crypto native, it's hard to find, right? Like one platform where you could just connect all your wallets and you're just going to give you your whole portfolio performance. Like that's very hard to find. A lot of these are manual, and you could also do manual as well, right? If you have trust issues, you don't want to give us your wallet information to the site. It's all completely safe, but you could also just do it manually as well. You have all your different wallets, whatever, tracked in one spot. I haven't had that available to me until, we had it with BB Terminal. So it's a great feature.
Yeah. Absolutely agree with the guys, but since I showed it so hard today, guys, so be sure to use my link, of course.
Wow.
Man's gotta eat. Got them.
That greedy jackass.
Gotta work for your backs. You said that right.
Yeah, I didn't say that. Yeah, I could see a bounce out of the VIX here. Big level.
It just continues to befuddle me how much better VIX futures look than the actual VIX. The VIX futures are something that you can actually trade. VIX is just kind of like a derivative of, I guess, the situation, we'll call it.
Yeah,
This one?
options on VIX,
Do VX.
SIBO. Yeah.
What?
VX.
VX.
Yeah.
SIBO.
Oh,
Yeah, and I mean options on the VIX itself are terribly illiquid as well. So I mean, looking at the futures, I mean those are the drivers of the market, right? Paying attention to the futures is always the most important thing.
do you
I think
have
when you're looking at, the SPX, you should be looking at the ES. When you're looking at the NAS, you should be looking at NQ. Futures are the drivers of the market.
Louis,
But I
do
mean,
you
we
have
talked about it.
contract changes set on your settings?
What?
Can you right click settings? Sorry for interrupting you.
No.
No, you're good. You're good.
Do you have the
What am I
adjust
doing?
for? Yeah, can you click that box adjust for contract changes? I knew it. Okay, continue, Prometheus.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just saying, like, paying attention to the futures is obviously extremely important, and something that tipped my hat off to the sell-off that we saw when we were up at, all-time highs on the indices was VIX futures, right? Skew was very much leaning bullish, and we were just setting this, bullish market structure. and we were just ramming our head into the ceiling at like 6,100 over and over and over again. And oftentimes what you see specifically with volatility is like some form of aftershock in the market, or with volatility specifically, and then that's usually kind of like the final shakeout, you could say, and then volatility really starts to collapse after that. Very, very rarely when you have an event, especially specifically as large as one that we just saw, where you don't have those aftershock events occur, or one or two initial pops, right? It very, very rarely do we have a pop the magnitude of that to where just immediately volatility structure collapses and goes back down to the range lows, and around like 10, 12 bucks.
It's crazy how different this looks with whatever you just made me do there, Tommy.
I was like, wait, that does not look right. No, I figured it was probably the contract changes. Yeah, I couldn't really explain what box you just ticked, admittedly, Louis. I think it rolls over like every quarter or every month, something like that. But it definitely does look very different.
It actually looks like it could drop more. I don't know if it's very weird. I don't know what to make of this.
VIX futures are interesting because obviously they kind of have like that contango feature to them.
Yeah, just perpetually down. Sheesh, is that COVID? Yeah. Whoa. Yeah, so hopefully this. I'm sure Tommy has something to say about that, but it's fine.
Well, like I said, we're getting some sort of pump on it again, right? Maybe it goes to a higher or a lower high. Maybe it goes into a higher high. We'll have to see. But
see, like looking at this chart makes me think, okay, yeah, like this probably looks like it's going to bounce here, like coming into a big level.
If we have, if we have a nothing burger from Powell tomorrow, it's obviously going to get crushed more.
Yeah.
Do we think Powell's going to say anything out of the ordinary tomorrow? And I know obviously we'll have a show in between now and then where we'll talk about this again, I'm sure. But kind of as we head into the end of the show, do we have any kind of like predispositions that what's going to happen tomorrow?
He'll be like, "Fuck you, Donald. No rate cuts. Here, drop." The battle goes on.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to guess, it's going to be like, more of the same, sadly. But I mean, I don't think he's going to surprise with any rate cut or anything like that. But a hint at future rate cuts, I think seems plausible at this point. We're getting negative GDP readings now. Unemployment starting to tick up a little bit. He can't continue to stand up there and say numbers look good, economy strong with the most recent numbers we've been seeing. And sure, I guess you could say it's one data point, but that combined with all the pressure he's already been receiving, I can't picture him going up there and saying the same exact thing he's been saying, but I also don't think he's going to come out and just cut right away. It'll probably, the smart way to, I think, and the best way to go about it would be, just acknowledge some changes that are coming, right? And that, hinting at, future rate cuts down the line to start kind of coming in and helping those things that are arising in the economy. I think that's the best way to go about it without shocking the market in a big way.
Speaking about shocking the market, Trump just sent a news saying really positive announcement Thursday, Friday or Monday before we leave.
What?
So, announcement
gosh.
of an announcement. Really
Of an
positive.
announcement.
It's going to be a really positive announcement. So he announced a really positive announcement on Thursday,
Any day this
Friday,
week.
or Monday.
He's like that. It's like a nut check, but instead it's like checking your leverage.
So Wednesday, tomorrow, we have FOMC, and then on Thursday we could get a really positive announcement. But maybe not. Maybe on Friday or
Maybe not.
maybe after the weekend.
Maybe we get one, maybe we don't.
Keeping the
Sometimes-
market on its edge.
God.
But I feel Trump's social capital will at some point run out. Just like what we saw with Elon. I think Elon now cannot pump even a low market cap token anymore. Seems like.
Yeah.
You could argue
Eventually
it
the
already
market
has.
can.
What?
You could argue it kind of already has.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying that he already ran out of that social capital, Elon.
No, I mean Trump.
Oh, Trump. No, I do not think he has yet. Or why do you think so?
I just don't, I feel like they've been kind of playing this good cop, bad cop as far as, tariffs, the relationships we have with other countries, and it's not really moving the market anymore. Like, I just think the bid that we've seen has kind of been the market saying, well, this guy is just going to keep yapping. We're going to crush bull, and the market lifted higher as a result. But I don't know like what he could say that could really move this market. But I do think, obviously he could force the hand of entities that can change the market, like the Treasury or maybe the Fed. I guess that could move the market, but just like him yapping and sending the market higher or lower, I kind of feel like that is done unless he says something completely off the wall. And I think the Trump token is a pretty decent reflection of this as well, because he had the huge pump from dinner, the idea of dinner with Trump, right? And its token's just been kind of more or less bleeding since then. I don't know. I don't know how his social capital can grow, or at the very least, it's kind of like volatility in the sense that it just needs a bit of a reset before you can push those buttons again.
Yeah, things need to turn around in a big way, in a positive way. Like if Powell ends up cutting rates or doing whatever, right? Markets begin to rally again. Economy starts to pick back up, and we look back 6 months from now and be like, okay, yeah, like sounded all crazy in the moment, but things seem that they're actually working out here. Maybe he gets some of that back. But things need to turn around in a big way, I think, for that to happen.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, guy, this is the time to nuke the stream.
I think it is. We never got bombarded by the bots today, which I thought was super nice.
They're cooking on more accounts. That's what they're doing. They're whipping up 100 more accounts to run through.
They're building up
Next
their
time.
army. I can't say the ticker, but if you know, you know. They'll probably be under the comments of this video. If you guys want to watch it back, again, a reminder that Market Check is live Monday through Friday whenever the New York Stock Exchange is open. We typically go live around 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also have Market Talk hosted by King Wabi. He does a great job on those shows. But those are spaces hosted through the Because Bitcoin X account. So make sure to stay following and subscribe to both of those accounts so you can be notified, not just when we schedule those spaces, but of course also when we go live. We have already advertised a few times on this stream, but instead of giving you guys the full rundown of our products, I feel like it's a perfect time to tell you once again about the BB Terminal. But thanks again for tuning in, guys. We appreciate you being here. As always, make sure to leave a like on your way out. And yes, make sure to punt Jackus's referral for the BB terminal. Get some discounts potentially, and yeah, free portfolio tracking. But the ad will tell you that here in a second. Thank you guys as always for being here. We'll be back tomorrow for FOMC day, and of course, stay safe, guys.
Bye.
Tired of outdated trading tools, confused charts, dozens of tabs, endless stress? You're not alone. Introducing BB Terminal, your all-in-one command center for crypto trading. Track your portfolio, monitor the markets, stay ahead, all in one place. From chaos to clarity, from struggle to success. BB Terminal.
I know you're vibing, Tommy.